morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with a frolicking puppy hitting my screen because she doesn't know how big her butt is. But it was with me, your host, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John, and then there's Ethereal Justin, here in spirit with us forever. Sorry, Justin, we've trapped your spirit forever. I'm sorry I didn't check with you, but you know, Quindy had the gear, so we just did it. Yeah, hi everybody. Is it really Watermelon Day, and is it really Baldur's Gate release day? If it's Watermelon Day, awesome. I have watermelon in the refrigerator, and I'll make a point of eating it. Well, you know, Quindy, if you got the gear, we're just going to trap some small portion of Justin's soul, that's all. What's left of it after Reaper was done with it, you know. Hello, hello, hello. Turgeon, you know what? I have the best cover artist in the galaxy. Like, yesterday, guys, I emailed her because I finally got the whole manuscript uploaded and into KDP just to get the final page count for Amazon, which I need before I can get her to make the trade paperback cover. I sent her the specs, like, last night. This morning, I have it. Like, she's so good. She's so fast. She's like, boop, here. I'm like, ee! She's the best. She's the best. He deserves it, yes. If any entity deserves to be trapped here with us forever, it's Justin. All the love, Justin. But yes, my wonderful cover artist totally got my my absolute, all of the finger hearts from me this morning. Because I need to be able to, I need that info to get the book done because I need to order a proof copy, read through it, and do my final edits too. So essentially, it'll be, hi Kiki, you brought me an O-hide. Would you like to bring the stream an O-hide? Would you like to come up with your hide and show them your chew? Would you? You can come up here if you want. Good girl. She's like, I got a chew in my mouth. It's not so comfy. Instant Kiki today. She's distracted. But yes. So yeah, now I can order my print proof, which is awesome because I caught so much last time, honestly, when I was reading through the print of East of the Sun. So I'm really looking forward to getting the print of the West of the Moon in my hands, my hot little hands. That'll be awesome. Yeah. I'm trying to, I don't know, today doesn't require focus from me because I've got a lot of little things to do. So when I have a to-do list of little things, my distracted brain actually is like happy to run around and do stuff. Focus has eaten me the last 2 or 3 days. Like I've had, I think 3 days of crazy focus. Like I go on after lunch, I sit down, and when I like blink and look up, it's like after 5. So I've been working so hard on this book. Like, it's crazy. Like, I sustained, like, 4 or 5 hour focus pushes from me lately. So, focus brain is very happy. It can take a little vacation a day, and I can concentrate on feeding my other strengths. Because I love focus and all, but it does tend to eat up everything. But it's great, because it, like, gives me all the, oh, you know what? We really need to use Wild Violet at some point. I'm sorry, I just realized I had that color in my my thing, and I was like, wait, we haven't really used it. Maybe I should use it. It's just a little darker. Actually, I think I'm going to switch to that for shading the skin tone, you know, guys? Runic Purple's a great color for it, but I feel like I was just thinking I needed a bit darker shadow. And Wild Violet is still more of a reddish purple, but it's a little bit more blue, and it's a little bit darker than Runic. So I think I'm gonna try switching to that today. I want to block in other skin tones. Obviously, she has arms we need to paint. But yeah, hold on. And a tummy. We didn't do tummy or the chest or anything. So she has a lot of skin that we have not done just because I wanted to try out the colors on the face. So let's do that. Let's do the face and the belly and all that stuff today. I know you guys are eager for me to get to the scales. But we is not there yet. We's not there yet, Papa. I like all purple. Yes. It's not my favorite color, though. It's not my favorite color. Yellow is my favorite color. Hi, Papa. Because it's so happy, Papa. Like you, Papa. Oh, Papa, I have to show the stream your derpness. She's like, no! how derpy I was yesterday. I caught her in the derpiest pose ever. And she didn't get up fast enough to stop me from taking the picture. In fact, she looked at me. That's the funniest part of this picture, is that you can see her staring at me from her derpy pose of derpiness. So, Kiki derpy photo for everyone. Sorry, my phone is dusty. This is my broken dog. Look at her face staring at me. I'm like, what? Derpiest face ever. Derpiest face. So you were so derpy. You're supposed to be a noble shepherd, and instead you're so derpy. So much derp. Yeah, she's standing here. So anyway, that's my dog. Yes, exactly, Korniko. That's exactly. Yeah. Please reset. Obviously our puppy was like put together. Are you sure you put it together right? Is the other one. So yes, total derp of the Keek face. I sent that one to my cover artist as a thank you this morning too, since she like had that fast turnaround. She can't have dogs. I can't remember. I can't remember if it's allergies or just they can't have one where they live, which is small in England. But she doesn't have a dog and she misses them. Or maybe her husband's allergic. I can't remember. For whatever reason, she is unable to have a puppy, so I supply her with Kiki pics. Maybe that's why I get my covers turned around in under a day. I'm not complaining. I will keep supplying Kiki pics if that's what it takes. Alright, so before we were using Runic, and we got a very pinky color, which is actually within the realms of natural blush colors or lip colors that you can find on the market anyway. Or I should say unnatural. But, you know, she is a mermaid, so I'm going to just put some Wild Violet over here. I'll put 3 drops of it down, and then I'm going to drop just 2 drops of the gnome flesh into it. Remember, we're using that gnome flesh, which is a nice pinky color. It's a tanned pinky color, and I like it a lot. Oh, she'll never stop doing it if she's like her mom, Turgeon. That pose is straight from Zammy. It's the I'm sleeping but I want belly rubs anyway pose. Alright, so I'm doing 3 to 3. I want to see what this color turns out like because there's a lot more blue in Wild Violet. But I think it's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, actually, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool color. Kind of a mauve kind of color. Taupey mauve. Yeah, okay. That works. That works. And then I'm going to take some brown liner and I'm going to mix some of that into the brown liner for a shadow color. As I will need a lining, i.e. and dark shadow color. So let's do 2 drops of liner. Big fat brush full of this purple. And drop some water into it. It's going to be cool here today. It's only supposed to get up to 73, I think, or 75. There we go. So that's a dark purpley taupe brown. That's a good color. Good. All right. Yes, if that form of commerce is good. I agree, Kerniko. All right, I'm going to put 1 drop of water in there, 1 drop of water in that. And we shall commence. We shall commence. Kiki, what are you... Okay, she's just got her no-hides. She gets these... The no-hide is a new chew that I really like for her. They're actually quite big. They're not cheap, but they're rolled. It's a material that's rolled, and it's digestible. And she likes to like unroll them and like takes her a long time to like, she'll unroll it, she'll chew the ends, she'll unroll it more, she'll rip off a piece, you know. She's got the little center part left of both of these no-hides and she's still playing with it. So 2 days later, so I trust, I would say that's a success given how Kiki goes through chews. But yeah. Oh, alrighty. Where did I put my mixing brush, Keeks? Did I drop it? I'm not seeing it anywhere around here. I think I scared it away. Oh no, it's up there. Okay. How's it going, Neurotic? So anyway, guys, the fact that I got my paperback cover already means that we are on schedule to get released with the second book on the 24th. And hopefully I'll be able to order copies. I'll try to, if I can switch that up, if I can push it earlier, I will, because I want copies by the time of ReaperCon. It's barter. Cat picture barter. That's probably a thing. Kiki, no. No, 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 no. Get out of here. Get out of here, doglet. Do I have to bar you off? Bar. Yeah, I'm going to move up my picture. Sorry, Kiki's being a little bit of a pest. You're going to get exiled unless you settle and chew, young lady. Get this all blocked in here. I'm feeling a little messy today, obviously. I'm not my usual meticulous base coder self. That's all right. Kiki, hey! All right, you're out. Bye. Bye. Take your no hide and be evicted, young lady. Yeah. If you're going to be in here, you got to settle and not sit here rummaging through my stuff. You're as bad as a little kid. Seriously. Ugh, all right. My neck is stiff today. So yeah, the goal after stream is to get the book uploaded and order a proof. Have it in in my real hands, in real form. This is tremendously freeing to have this project be nearing completion, because I've been sitting here stuck on it for so long. I contribute to the household, yes. Exactly right. Yeah, Kiki consumes probably at least a significant percentage of the GDP, gross domestic product, in ballistics, I'm pretty convinced. So I'm going to actually paint these top level scales in skin color, because then I can glaze. And I could also glaze color up onto the skin, which is probably the more common thing to do, but we don't have a lot of skin here. And I do want the skin to show up, and her navel's like right above it. So I think I'm going to bring the skin color down onto the scales a little bit and then glaze over. Glaze over the scales with the rest of the scale color. So yeah, we'll bring it down. We can always paint over it, but I want a fair amount of skin color down there. Good deal. Alrighty, make sure I've got it wrapped around all the way. Oh, she's got the one arm up. I just realized that. Okay. So we've got to get that. But yeah, considering I've worked on these books, I've been stuck on these books for over a decade. It is actually the 10-year, it was earlier this year, the 10-year anniversary of finishing West of the Moon. Because I wrote the first draft from 2012 to 2013. When you've been working on something for that long, when you've had a project that you really care about hanging over your head for that long, to finish it, to finally finish it to the level that you originally wanted it to be, is enormously freeing and gratifying. Especially after having, you know, definitely one person, and there may have been more over the years. I've just, you know, I block out their voices, but at least one person tell me it was a waste of time to publish my first books. Or to try to publish my first books. It just goes to show that you should never listen to everybody else. Well, I mean, sometimes you should. Don't drive over that cliff is probably something you should listen to. But, you know, when it comes to your own creativity and your own time and where you choose to put your effort, do your thing. I mean, worst case scenario, if it doesn't turn out, you have yourself to blame, right? You get hair on everything. Sure enough. Hey, Thormel. Yeah, cats can live per freaking long. I forget what's the oldest Siamese. Isn't the oldest cat on record a Siamese that's like 30 or something? I can't remember what the record is these days. Now I need to get this arm. This is going to take 2 coats. The gnome flesh is not a high coverage skin color. It gets decent out of the bottle, but when you thin it a little, it's going to take 2 coats. It's still a nice color, so I'm glad we're using it. So yeah, now the sky's the limit. I can work on any book I want. Although I should work on book 3. Keep telling myself that. Sorry, I got tiny little bit of flashing there that I didn't quite get off. I'm trying to scrape it off with my knife real quick. There we go. Yeah, part of me thought these books would never be done. There's a lot of little, and I could have painted this arm separately, but I judged that there was enough room that it wouldn't drive me totally crazy. Now I gotta pay attention to, I think that strand of hair going over there, so there is some bare arm in here though. And because all this additional, all this stuff all around, I'm gonna put this up a little bit, but because of all this stuff all around her skin, I'm being messy, and it's good that I'm doing the skin first. And this is why people talk about the inside out painting technique, where you start with the skin and you move outward. For models like this, where there's so much interference and there's so much stuff that you're trying to paint inside of, and into recesses and things like that to get all the skin done, it's much easier to do this before you've painted everything else, because obviously I would be getting all sorts of skin tone on all sorts of other things if I was doing this after I'd already painted the hair or the scales or the whatever at this point. So yeah, so this is the reason you would want to paint from the inside out. That, and because your skin tone can dictate a lot of the rest of the model as far as colors. She's an actual mermaid. She's not a sculpture. I mean, she is a sculpture of a mermaid, but she is a mermaid. I just think she's got like a holographic or magical banner just draped over parts of her. But I'm painting her like she's real. On figureheads, they were painted like they were real. Yeah, I hadn't done a Christine sculpt since the Mushroom Queen, the Fungus Queen, and she's gotten so good, I wanted to do more. I guess we did never mind, we did the hair folk, but I feel like I get very Bobby Jackson and Julie Guthrie centric on this stream, and so I'm trying to switch it up. Not that that's a bad thing. And Bobber Dolby-ish. Since Julie and Bob are work together on so many models. I have to automatically just say Bob and Julie instead of just Julie or just Bob. Yeah, she is, but I'm painting her like she's a character. She is a 3D reproduction of a 2D graphic design for a logo of a bar. However, I prefer to think that I'm painting her as she's posing. Posing for the sculpture. And I did a lot of figurehead research a while ago, and they were indeed painted as if they were alive, so doing real skin tones on her is perfectly feasible. But yeah, I prefer to think that this is when she was posing for the logo. They boozed her up and went, "Hey, would you pose for our sign?" She's like, "Sure, hick." The birds are fighting over the bird feeder so loud I can hear them yelling from here. And they're all the way back in the other room out the side of the house. Somebody is highly upset right now. I think it's one of the goldfinches. There's a goldfinch that just sits at the top of the feeder and yells whenever the food is not absolutely filled up to the top of the feeder. You wouldn't actually need to, well, I guess you would need to green stuff. I mean, you'd have to cut off the shells. But other than that, a t-shirt wouldn't be difficult. I mean, the hem of the t-shirt would not be difficult, but it's this part. You'd have to cut off all the detail here, resculpt it. But otherwise, I mean, a t-shirt's not hard. Oh, no. Yes, but I prefer to think that this mermaid posed for this sculpt, and this is the version I'm painting. So 2 coats looks like it's going to be sufficient for now. I'm going to make sure that I've got all this Nice and solid. We're still going to do shading and highlighting on it. So honestly, if it's not 100% solid, if it's just like 98% solid, you're pretty good. Because chances are the areas that are a little less solid are going to get either shading or highlighting applied to them. All right. I think we've got it. So now we've got all the naked parts more or less figured out. Take your allergy pill, Quindy. Mine is mostly in my throat today. I think that's pretty good. I gotta let it settle down a bit. Hey, Ushan Cat. Welcome to the to Skin Tones on the Mermaid stream. We're using purples to shade. I need to give the skin tones a second to dry while we get there. I will be likely using these same purples on parts of the scales. The scales will be mostly blue, but we're going to do a kind of an fake iridescent effect that I did on my Eldar army. So we'll see how it goes, but it'll be interesting. It should look interesting, at the very least. I should be able to do it because these shapes are fairly simple. And we'll just see how it turns out. It's not a terribly complicated iridescent effect to paint, so I feel like I need just a little bit more. Well, we should be good. All right, I'm going to line while I'm waiting. So where is my brown liner? I mixed up three. I have my gnome flesh plus wild violet, and then this mixture added into some brown liner. And then we're going to take it down totally to brown liner because I want some contrast. And also, I need to bring out the expression on her face, and that means definitely lining her mouth. You really lose a ton of expression if you don't line the mouth on your 28s. Sometimes the mouth is tiny. In this case, the mouth is quite large, so we definitely should line it and bring out her expression. Hey, Slayer. Oh. Uh-oh, hold on. I missed a Turgeon question. That can't happen. That cannot happen. Ah, there we go. Colored metallic paint have an actual true metallic sparkle. Yeah. Okay, so are these new colored metallics? Are these like the original ones that I made? The red, orange, green, blue, purple, white? But I mean, they are metallics. They're not as shiny as like the Bones metallics. But oh no. Oh no, Valandar. That was a housefly that was looking for somewhere dramatic to die. That was a drama housefly. Like that was the drama llama of houseflies. Critico, yep. It certainly isn't non-toxic, yes. But it does work really well for some things. Anyway, Turgeon, the colored metallics from Reaper they are sparkly. But since they're not like hugely sparkly, you have to be, I would say, a very light hand about glazing over them, unless you're using something that's more transparent. If I were to glaze over, yeah. So if I were to glaze over those to make them brighter, I would probably use something like De La Rani inks, the acrylic inks. This is true, Valandar. I used to own some of those. I think those are still, those Tamiya clears are still the best way to do stained glass as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so they're pretty vibrant. Like the blue and the purple are pretty vibrant, but they're pretty dark turgeon. So glazing over them, I don't know that would work great. The green is also pretty bright green metallic, and glazing over that would work great. 102, yes, you could make it orangier by putting an orange glaze over it, absolutely. 101 is likewise a bit of a, yeah, I would say definitely glaze over that. And then 9100 is, of course, pearl white, so you're going to use that to highlight a lot. And if you used the 9100 to highlight, say, 104, or something like that, you could glaze over the whole thing afterwards. Although, actually, if you have Sophie Silver, I would use that on 104 to highlight it. It's the one use for Sophie Silver as far as I'm concerned. Because Sophie Silver is like a blue flake in white. But because it's blue flake, it'll make it, it's the same flake as in 104. What Kirill thought they were really good for, Turgeon, was for hot metal effects. You know, when you've got that color shift on like heated brass and other metals. He felt that they did very well at that. He was using them on a Privateer Press mech, not a mech, jack, at the time that he was pinning for a friend. And he tried them and said that he thought they were really good for that. So, yeah, I mean, it depends on if you're into metallics or not. And if you've got a specific project that you're looking for, they're never going to be as bright or as vibrant as metallics that are in enamels. Like your testers, metallic blue and red and all that, those are going to be so much more punchy because they're using actual automotive flakes. They're using flakes that we cannot put into a water-based. Like, we could get tons. Reaper could get so many awesome flakes if we did solvent metallics, but nobody wants to touch it. At least I don't think anybody else does either, because it's just a pain in the butt. But yeah, so if you're doing a project like a vehicle where you really want that shiny candy apple metallic red, that's when you go to enamels. No. So I was saying if you already had it, a lot of people have it from past cons and promotions, Turgeon, the Sophie Silver, so I mentioned it, but it is not generally available. So that was a just in case you had it. But if you don't have it, then pearl white is your go-to. Sophie Silver was like... Sophie Silver always got me up in arms. It was a color that some people, like at Pink Club, really loved, and I just hated it. I hated it because it was a gimmick color. But there are always uses for everything, even gimmick colors. So, I do not loathe it as I used to. Mostly I loathed it because people thought it was awesome, but then I would mention pearl white and they would go, huh? And I was like, pearl white is infinitely more useful than Sophie Silver. But then I definitely have a focus on useful as far as I go. I like colors to be very useful. And some people just like novelty colors. So, you know, what it is what it is. Yeah, draw silver would be more purpley. Alrighty. But yeah, so whether the colored metallics are your cup of tea is really dependent on what project you have in mind for them. I don't think I would pick them up just to have them necessarily. A little bit too much paint on my brush there. I would pick them up if I needed them for a project, or if I painted a lot of dragons. As I've told Cornico in the past, I have really enjoyed making the final layer of highlighting on dragon scales a metallic in the past. I did it first on a forest dragon I had. I really loved the look. So sometimes I feel like the colored metallics can be really good for that. So doing a little bit of lining. Lining, you want to use a very thin brush. I'm using brown liner about 5:1 paint to water. It's a little bit thicker. Oh, Gen Con TV. Oh, yeah, is it Gen Con footage? Okay. See, it just shows that I'm so outside of the Gen Con loop that I don't even know that it's going on. Isn't this a lot earlier than it used to go on? Or is this pre-footage? For some reason I thought it was always later in August, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've just totally haven't paid attention to it for so long that it's outside of my purview. So I'm just shading in generally around the face. Is it? Okay. Yeah. So I've just forgotten over the years. Forgotten over the years that I haven't been going. We used to always go. When Reaper went, I was always going. Many good memories from Origins and Gen Con. So I just want to line everywhere that something else meets the skin. And you know, if I see obvious shading places like around this lock of hair, I'll just use this to underpaint them. And because it's early and I haven't painted the hair, I don't have to care if I get a little bit of liner onto parts of the hair because I haven't done anything to it, so I'm pretty safe. This is where I feel like I need another layer of skin there at the neck. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's true, but houseplants can totally harbor insects. Oh, crap. I need to check David's seedlings. Let me put that on my list. So David had, this is so funny. Sometimes I feel like Google's team building events are kind of like stuff that you did in grade school. But it's fun again because you're an adult now. So his last team building event, they planted herbs. They planted seeds. They got little seed kits and planted little boxes of herbs, which are terribly cute and have chalkboards on the front where you can write what you've planted. Let me write this down. 12:45. Check David's herbs. But he is terrible about remembering to water things, and so if these little guys are going to make it, it's up to me. There, I put it on my to-do list. They're tiny little plantlets right now. Teensy tinies. Oh yeah, sink drains too, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, dragons and ethereal creatures can totally metallics. Although I don't find metallics work as well on ethereal. I prefer to use the glow colors on those, glow colors and white. Do I still have my pirate ghost? Yeah, I do. Come here, pirate ghost. I still prefer to do more of a treatment that's more like this. This is really, really like fast, but gives you an idea. We also did we did another ghost. I think I gave it to David. A wraith, the female wraith that was turning from ethereal to solid. Remember her, guys? I'm pretty sure I still have her somewhere. Oh, that's a good tip, Zeku. Thanks. I didn't know that. Because we bottom water our basil plants because they seem to do better that way. I didn't know that was also a way to reduce gnats. That's really useful. Thank you. Because we do have houseplants, mostly orchids, because I love orchids, but we have a few. We like plants. It's just that David is terrible at taking care of them, and I'm moderately terrible. I need to set reminders. Man, the birds are crazy. I feel like there's a cage match going on out there, and I don't. I'm surprised it's not carrying over the speakers. I switched them to a higher percentage of sunflower seeds, Kerniko, so I'm sure that's why suddenly I have legions of birds fighting over my feeders. There's much complaining. Oh, vinegar trap. Good. Oh, newbie plant mom. Yeah, I killed a lot of them before I got the knack of not quite killing them, so now I do pretty well. The orchids are nice because I can like benignly neglect them for quite a while because they're supposed to not be totally sodden all the time. But yeah, these little baby herblets I'm supposed to water when the top layer of soil gets visibly dry, so I need to check. They were checked a couple days ago, but I need to check them again. Hopefully I haven't killed them in the meantime. I have two modes. I have total neglect or benign neglect and overwatering. So I've had to work on that. Yeah. Although I've decided that I would rather have a squirrel than have a rat, and so I've actually stopped having Kiki scare away the squirrel. We have a female gray squirrel who has learned to come and knows about. Because, if I'm going to have somebody, like, it's nice that they're cleaning up the stuff that falls on the ground. And I would rather have the squirrel do it. Yeah, Runic and Spectral and Phantom. Yeah, you probably don't need red neon. Although, I'll tell you, red neon can be a really good highlight for, like, red hair. It's good for that sort of thing. It's good for some interesting stuff that you don't normally think about. If you don't have a lot of brush control for this particular part, like little jewelry strands like this, just paint it all dark, guys, and just use white and dot where all the beads are. That underpaint it that way, and then you can just go over the top of it with whatever you're doing. Although if you're metallics, you can leave it dark. Or put down like a more of a mustardy brown color under before you do gold, for example. Because metallics do work better off of dark undercoats. Remember that, Turgeon, if you are going to get those metallics. Everything works better off a dark undercoat with metallics, at least with those mica-based and silicon-based metallics, which is most of the industry. Except for the aluminum-based ones. Those are the only exception. And even then, I like to put them over a dark color. I think it's more successful. But they've got such good coverage that technically, I don't think you have to. It won't, Kerniko, because I have a squirrel buster and it actually works. It works so well that it's stopped the birds from eating. When too many house finches sit on it, it closes. I mean, I'm okay with the ratties, but I don't want hordes of them. No. Because mica flake is translucent, Turgeon, it's actually made to work better over a black or dark undercoat. Same with silica flakes, which is bones. I've talked about this before, maybe you missed it, but the fact that when the flake manufacturers send us catalogs at Reaper, They always have a picture side by side of the flake applied over white and the flake applied over black, and the black to show that the black undercoat is much shinier, results in a much shinier flake. Now, some of those colors, the blue and the purple, for example, actually have black in the base, and they have pretty good coverage because of that, and you don't necessarily need to worry about them that way. But yeah, white undercoat generally will wash out streaky and give you streaky metallics. Always undercoat with metallics in general. It's a good rule of thumb, because you may not know which ones are going to do well without that undercoat. So just undercoat for all of them. Yeah. Or actually they have one at least that's over white, Hyper Bunny. I own it. We were talking about Turbo Dark the other day because I had some color shift ones I was experimenting with for my Tyranids. And the one that I settled on is over black, but I think black or dark color, I think. But yeah, read the label because they do vary a little bit. Somebody on here brought that up to me. I forget who turned me on to that fact, but they're not all meant to be over black. Yeah, I don't mind the squirrel. I mean, she's okay. Like I said, she's way too big. Like, if she tries to get up on the feeder, she won't get there. And I don't mind the little mouse that crawls down my tree branch and climbs down the S-hook onto the top of the finch feeder and then carefully climbs down the side to eat some sunflower seeds out of the finch feeder. I'm okay with that mouse. That mouse is working for it. You have a feud. I see. You have a feud with a particular squirrel. I don't mind it. This girl squirrel looks a little thin, so I don't mind if she eats some of the food. In fact, I thought about actually getting a squirrel feeder, but I know the mice and rats would eat it too, but because they're just as arboreal in this neighborhood as the squirrels are. They've learned to use trees and shrubbery as runways and fences. So they're actually, you're just like as likely to see a rat in the lemon tree as you are a squirrel, which is ridiculous. I'll see if she hangs around, Pendrake. She's definitely a girl. Maybe Skinny Minnie. Because she is kind of thin, so I need to fatten her up before winter, or I'll be sad. Although there was a little black female squirrel that used to hang out in this neighborhood too, but that was before I got bird feeders, so maybe there wasn't enough food for her. Or maybe she's more a backyard squirrel, I don't know. I don't know what the average territory of a squirrel is. There was something, what was it? Oh, it was the wrens, the Bewick's wrens that I have, the pair of them. Like, they need like in the wild, they have like a 5-acre territory or something insane like that. I'm like, 2 little birds that apparently try to protect 5 acres and keep other wrens out? I'm like, this is crazy talk. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like my squirrel buster. Like, it works. The only thing that could probably eat out of it is a mouse if it climbed. But the thing about the squirrel buster, and yeah, it was an expensive bird feeder, but it's got that conical top, so they could get to the top, right? They can climb down the hook and get onto the top. It's got a little bit of an overhang, but the sides are just sleek plastic, just really slippery. And so maybe, oh, denatured alcohol, yay! But then the weight thing, the weight trap, is like, then where do they go from there? Like, they can't climb back up, right? They're going to have to fall to the ground. I don't know how long falls are dangerous for rodents. Maybe they can fall farther because they're lightweight. I have no idea. But it's over 2 feet to the ground from that feeder because it was supposed to be put 18 inches away from anything, minimum 18 inches away from anything else. Yeah, probably Pendrake, maybe. And that probably all the rules change here in a neighborhood where there's probably a lot of feeders and stuff, right? I'm going to black in back here, all on this side. I can always paint over it, but I need to get that arm defined back there, so just putting that dark shadow in is going to be the way to do it. When you can't effectively get your detail brush back there, just shadow it in. It's in the deep shadow anyway. When you get around to her cup, her shells here, we'll be able to paint some color there, but this is the part where if I hadn't, but I would have had to line this after the fact anyway, because this is exactly where the arm would have socketed in. Yeah. Squirrels, but I wasn't sure about mice. Wrens are mostly bugs, but do like seeds every once in a while. The wren has been coming to my feeder and picking up a seed and feeding his, or maybe it's the girl. I don't know, but usually it's the guys in feeding the girls in the birds' kingdom. But yeah, one wren has been feeding the other a choice seed or two here or there. All right, now, if you get a real heavy line in there and you know that that's way too heavy, you can bring some water in and kind of blend it a little bit. Just a little bit of water on my brush lets me take that harsh, thick line out. There'll still be a shadow, but that's okay. I want a shadow, so there. Yep, yeah, usually peanuts and sunflower pieces are what they're... Oh, and they like the tiny pieces of suet, because my my other birds that like the suet feeder will, as they peck at it, they'll just be little specks that fall down onto the ground. And the wrens absolutely like that. And I've seen one of those wrens go up on the suet feeder and just eat the crumbs of suet that have fallen onto the ledge of my suet feeder. So totally. Nice, Richard. So yeah, squirrels are fine and acrobatic. I assume mice are much the same then. The cat didn't know what to do. Yep, the cat was like, whoa. Out of nowhere. I'm going to do some shading too. You all like to know I like to do my lining and my shading before we do highlights. So we're just kind of getting all this stuff done today. I was thinking about it. I didn't want to start the mouseling base today, both because I've been so focused on other things in my life that I haven't had any time to think about what I want to do, and because I just actually was in the mood to work on skin tones today. But yeah, if I don't like actually like get time to sit down and think about the mouseling base, then I will just grab some clay and start playing. Wow, 200 feet. That's really cool, Turgeon. That's crazy talk, though. Ah. Yeah, sometimes they call them yams. So, okay, the yam versus sweet potato thing is funny if you look it up on the internets. They essentially are like, yeah, so what people call red yams are actually sweet potatoes. And sometimes you'll see them labeled as red yams, and sometimes you will see them labeled as sweet potatoes. But it's the same dang thing. And it was a marketing thing that's just ended up confusing everybody. Neurotic, with bones, with Reaper Bones models, the plastic, I do not prime because I don't need to. That's true of regular Bones, Bones Black, and in this case, Bones USA. Could I prime you as Bones USA? Yeah, I could. The Siocast stuff takes primer fine, but I always forget because I'm used to not priming Bones. One of the big things about Bones models when Reaper first started them is that you could just pull them out of the package and paint, and Reaper first got them to be paint and take minis at places like Gen Con. So that was what they wanted. That was a huge benefit. And so I just got used to, as I was promoting it, I got used to not priming my bones. I just washed them in hot water and a bit of dish soap, and I set them out on a paper towel to dry overnight, and the paint adheres fine. I just have not had any problems with plastic and rub off, really. So, because remember, these are display models, right? If these were gaming models, I would prime the Bones USA. I still wouldn't prime the Bones and Bones Black, though, because spray primer is going to have adverse effects with those because it's PVC. So that's another reason why people tend not to prime bones. Sometimes people will use brown liner thinned down with medium, and they'll use that as a primer, both to outline areas on the bones and to do a bit of underpainting. The brown liner and other liners are chemically different than Reaper's other paints, and they, for some reason, they just stick really well to the plastic. So if I ever have a problem with paint adhering to like a traditional bones, I'll just grab some liner and paint over that spot, and it's fine. I've actually done that recently. But yeah, so all of that is kind of why I do not prime just my Bones figures. Anything else, styrene, resin, any other company's plastic, you name it, unless it's PVC, if it's unpainted PVC, I will not prime it. So does that make sense to you? Because yeah, unpainted PVC can just off-gas forever and never cure with the wrong primer. And I just got sick of trying to figure out what was the right primer. So I was just like, I'm not having any problems. I'm painting display models that don't get a lot of handling, and I'm not seeing rub off. So I'm just going to go for it. Yeah, blue liner for most of your dragons, Kiro. Yep. Yeah, liners are, when you thin them with mediums, you can get it to... Yep, it's not the paints, it's actually the material. Yeah, although that said, I have found that other paint lines don't stick as well to Bones as MSP. So it could just be that we had a very, fortuitous mix there. But yeah. And it could be that other paints don't stick to the Bones models as well as MSP, because MSP has a higher percentage of acrylic or equivalent polymers, which is a harder polymer with a finer particle size. So essentially it's just going to act a bit differently, whereas big particle size stuff that people tend to use for coverage in other paint lines, the goopy like equivalent vinyl and latexy kind of polymers and equivalents, because these days there's a synthetic polymer equivalent for everything. But all those, I think, would just tend not to stick as well. Adhesion is much higher in acrylic-like polymers than it is in latex and vinyl-like polymers. In fact, that's why I chose a higher acrylic polymer, even though MSP suffered a little bit in coverage, because it has better adhesion. Luca can talk about like his color theory fanciness all he wants, but when it comes to paint chem, I've got him beat. If you need your paint exploded by paint chemistry instead of color theory, well, and I can sometimes explode your brain with color theory, but not really, because I try to make it really easy. I try to make it really simple. I don't throw around a lot of terms because I like to make color theory accessible to everybody. So sometimes even when Luca talks, I'm just like, the terms, can you just say what you mean? Except he is. He's just used to using terms. Oh no, their primers are top of the line, Richard. Like, I use them. Okay, so they actually have been decent on Bones. Like, I wouldn't have known. Awesome. Awesome, Zachariah. $24. Wow. So 24 thumbs up. If he's looking without sound. Until one day it wasn't fine. Yeah, because rattle can stuff, the formulation can change. Like, they tweak them a lot, I get the feeling. Oh no, gliding around places in the clinic. Yeah, that's really funny. Alright, don't need to line that. Do need to get the back of that elbow, though. Yeah, with all the skin, it's just a lot of lining. I'm going to throw a little bit more water in here. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like relaxing today. Like, I've been so focused on the book lately that it just felt like a nice, relaxing morning. For me, skin tones are kind of zen, so... Uh-oh, I got a piece of liner on there. No, look at it. Liner. So, because gnome skin... Oh, wait, is that where the elbow... No, that's not where the elbow is. Because gnome skin isn't great coverage, you can try to do just one really thick dab on there. And that may or may not work. You might need 2 coats. If you ever come into the fact where you're really having problems with coverage when you accidentally put a line of liner over a light paint like skin tone, you can always put white over that liner stripe and then paint the skin tone over it and it'll disappear it. Nice. Yeah, I don't do brush on primers, Dogfather, unless the only time I've used brush on primer was when I was painting historical and I wanted to do the burnished metal technique on metallics. So that's where, when you have a metal historical model, you use oil washes to shade the metallics, and then you actually burnish the metal to get that shine. So your metallics actually aren't entirely painted. You're actually you're cheating, you're using real metal to get a real metallic effect. So in that case, I actually used brush on it for everything else, and then except for the metallics. It made sense. Because I didn't want to mask over the metallics, like, and get a bunch of primer all over my blue stuff. So, which you can do too. But yeah. Yeah, AK is apparently a pretty good brand. Really? Why don't you have problems with primers, Neuro? Like, what is exactly the problem with primers you've tried? Because I'll tell you, Games Workshop is good, though expensive. And people here in the chat are saying AK is good. I have not tried AK. Because I just spring for the GW. I don't paint enough models to really go through a can of GW super fast. So the expense is okay for me. David and I tend to prime a model and then spend a ton of time on it. So we go through primer at a very, very, very slow rate. Oh, the burnished metal technique? Yeah, I mean, well, I used to go to the Chicago show all the time, the MMSI show, the org that ran the last World Expo in America. Because I lived in Wisconsin, just over the border. So, and I had friends in Illinois who painted. That was a paint club that I used to be a part of, the IMPS, the Illinois Midwest Mini Painting Society. Yeah, so I used to go to MMSI a lot, and so I hung around with historical painters, and I saw them doing that technique, and it seemed kind of cool. So I thought I would try it out, so I did it on a Viking. I got a silver with that Viking. That was my first entry. I gave him, it was a Viking warrior with a dog, and I painted the dog like a Finnish Spitz. Like kind of foxy colored, almost. Or a Shiba Inu. A reddish Shiba Inu, and they loved it. A Doge, for those who don't know what a Shiba Inu is. I painted it like a Doge, and they adored it. They thought it was great. In fact, when he announced the award, he said, "Awesome dog." But yeah, I don't have a picture of that because I painted it for my my ex-husband. He still got it. I think it actually, I don't remember, they photoed it, but I don't think it made it into Historical Miniature Magazine. But it may have, I just don't remember. I don't think so, though. I think the only one I ever got into Historical Miniature Magazine was actually my, my Wolfen. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard some really good things about IPMS Nationals, like that there's a shift toward a lot more figures hyper, which is really awesome. Like, that was the one reason I never got into IPMS, is that figures, you know, when I would talk to people about it, they would sound like figures were second class, and I would be like, all right, well, that's not my show, because I don't do vehicles. Vehicles are like a scary thing that I've yet to try to get into. Maybe someday. But I'm still like learning new stuff even with figures, so I don't know when I'm gonna get to being interested in doing vehicles. But yeah, so I was very excited when I talked to Brian at Skill 75 about it, and he mentioned that he'd been to the IPMS Nationals and that a lot more people were painting figures, mostly because acrylics were getting so good that they felt like that they could actually, it was approachable to them, like, which was pretty cool. Yeah, well, now I'm not in Texas anymore. Of course, by the time he told me this, I'd moved away from Texas. But I sent Ed a note about it. I remember after I talked to him, I sent Ed a note about it because I thought it was interesting. I thought Reaper might want to go, but I don't think we ever got around to it. Are you chewing back there, Keeks? You chewing? Good girl. She's like, I want to be in there with you, Mama. Chewing on you. Just going to block out the bottom of this mug. Oh, the birds, those birds are out there. I'm not sure which ones those are. It's funny because I could hear them earlier from behind me just screaming at the top of their lungs. And now there's tiny bird calls from out here and you can hear them. Who is it? Can I see them? They're up in the tree. They're up in the plum tree our neighbor has. Nobody's showing their little birdly face. Might be the wrens, because they hang out around there this time of day, but who knows? I don't know what their bird call sounds like. Nice! That's nice dark color. Awesome. Yeah, I painted a bunch of 40K, but if you look at the armies that I painted, Crowley, my only real 40K army was Tyranids, and they have no tanks. And then Fantasy, I never played Empire. They were the only one with a steam tank. Fantasy, I was Wood Elves. Again, no tank. Right. I did start some Chaos, but I just never got into it. And when I tried to paint a Rhino, I actually was trying to use Vallejo game color, and honestly, it's really screwed up the base coat, so I just gave up. And I swore never to use Vallejo game color ever again. That plasticky, goopy, horrible concoction. I don't know if and then they seemed to move to that base for the rest of their paint as well, and I really was not a fan. But I don't know what they're using nowadays. I haven't tried Vallejo for many years. I do have a new bottle of beige brown because it was one of my favorite colors. This is like almost a dark tan skin. Every once in a while I pick up a bottle just to see, but come and make it, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of great stuff. I mean, and those guys are great. Like, the IPMS Grandmasters do phenomenal work. Oh, did it? It needed it. It was just terrible goopy. I put an agitator ball in all my Vallejos, by the way. But yeah, I haven't tried. I used to really, honestly, before I made, Model Color was out and big when Ed signed me on at Reaper, and that was the paint he wanted to compete with. So Model Color was always the one that I used. I was not a fan of game. But then there was here, let's squeeze some of this out. Yeah, still a little goopy. Let's do 4 drops. Let me shake. And the problem is, oh, really? With her, yep. They copied Reaper. That's because Vallejo, forever, they were like, you should let us make your paint, to Ed at cons. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that they decided to copy us when they couldn't get money from us to make our paint. So I'm going to put 1 drop of water in here. Let's see if they still have their issue. Oh, the metallics! Their metallics are great. Actually, their air metallics are the best, I think. Yeah, consistency of sneezes. Well, that's too bad because they're. I like their airbrush metallics a lot. I have a ton of them. So this used to be one of my favorite colors, but let's see if they still have their separation issues and their adhesion issues. The separation will tell me if the adhesion is crap. Anyway, I just throw some of that in the palette. Yeah, 2 thin coats from Drunken. Yep. So people are finally, you know, though, how many years, guys? It took like almost 20 years for other companies to finally copy MSP. Like, MSP has been around since 2004, and a player in the marketplace, I would say, from 2007-8 on, right? It took us a few years to get traction. But once we got traction, then I just remember, like, ever-increasing amounts of batches during that period. That's when I went full-time, and I stopped doing Stab Painter. And so it's taken at least 15 years for these people to get off their coverage high horse and understand that there's a market for something else. I need to order some of Duncan's paint. I have a suspicion that I would like it. I need to put that on my list of things to remember. Duncan paint. Duncan paint. Duncan. Yeah, because I do like to try all the new paint products in the market. Oh, you can hear now. Well, good. And chapter 24 is freaking impressive, Zechariah. You're into the guts of the book now. Which means you've gone through like some of my favorite chapters. You love the book? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's what I love to hear. Okay, yeah. I just want to try. I mean, I always try. I don't kickstart a new paint line, but after it's out, I'll buy like 2 or 3 colors to just see how it's performed. Just to see, like, so I can analyze it. Yeah, Duncan is good. He's good people. I'm kind of glad he quit Games Workshop because he seems like good people. 41 plus an epilogue, Pendrake. This is a long book. This is a very long book. It took a long time for me to wrap up all those threads. And there are still threads, but those are for future books. There are less threads and more suggestions. You're a little further than that. Wow. Yeah, because you had a sick day, didn't you, Richard? Great. Yeah, so you and Zechariah are fighting it out. Turgeon, don't feel inferior if you haven't gotten that far. You're good. Don't worry. You guys are reading it a lot faster than I thought, but that's fantastic. Great. Awesome. Awesome. I can get feedback. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned something about that the other day, Hyper Bunny. This used to happen with GW sculptors, where they would make somebody's name, essentially. Somebody would make their name. I think the last one was Juan Diaz. He did the old demonettes, the sexy ones. Honestly, the best sculptor of females that they've had ever. Except, well, he and Chris Fitzpatrick are probably close. But both of those guys quit and went on to do their own thing. And GW stopped featuring sculptor credits on their box art because of that, because they hated the fact that they were making these people's names and then they weren't treating them as well as they would like to be treated, and so they left and made their own fortunes, right? And so now you see it happening with Duncan. Like, this is a never-ending cycle with Games Workshop. And so I wonder what they're going to do for videos, because like the problem with the video is you need that personality. You need that person, because people get invested in their favorite streamers. And so inevitably, like, they need to start treating these people better and paying them better is the problem. That's okay, Turgeon. I still value your feedback very much. Just get through it when you can. It's all good. Oh, a sick week now. That's not good, Richard. I'm so sorry. I don't know. He quit to sculpt for other people, but I don't know what he's up to these days. But they are bordering on priceless, Richard. You're right. They were just really good. I'm kind of sad I didn't keep a box of them. Yep, and it's all because of that. It's because their painters and their sculptors got famous and moved on to other projects. Oh yeah, rogue copies. Okay, yeah. Oh, great, Dogfather! Yay! I would love it if you leave a review, if you haven't, on the first book. I'm trying to get to 20. That's my goal. I would really love to have 20 by the time the second book launches. I don't think we're going to make it, but I want to make a run at it. You don't have to write anything if you don't want to. You can just leave me a stars. Yeah, Reaper has always been more than willing to credit. And we don't get offended when our sculptors have thriving, like, other careers, right? If they sculpt for other companies and stuff. Oh, not that. Makes sense, Cornico. Not showing the faces of their painters. Oh, man. See, isn't this crappy, guys? All they need to do is to pay these people what they're worth, right? Make Duncan a face, treat him well, and, like, up his salary. Like, because he's making you money. But no, instead, you know, they just, for all that the newer GW is better, I'm getting all excited and Kiki's getting excited. For all that the new GW is better than the old GW, some things never change, it seems. No, Papa, we're okay. Mama's not totally excited. When I get really animated about something, like when David and I are talking and I get really animated, she's like, "Bark, bark," and she wants to jump up. Yes. Bark of approval, yeah. For sure, Turgeon. Yeah, I know, Inara, I know. But yeah, so oops, I've got a Kiki hair on camera here. Kiki hair. Okay, let's do some shading with our pretty purples. Oh, I need the mouth. Crap, the mouth and the eyes. But yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Maybe there are other constraints. Maybe that department of GW just has a very small budget because it's an experimental thing. And maybe they're, you know, they've got, because oftentimes accountants will have an attitude where if they can't directly show income from something, they don't want to put a lot of money toward it. And advertising, sadly, can often be that way. Because it's hard to tell which advertising pushes. I've learned this in books. This is definitely a thing. It's hard to tell which pushes actually work, unless you can somehow do a big push in isolation from any other thing that might impact your sales. So really fine line, very little paint on the brush for this line of the smile. Yep, Hyper Bunny, exactly. And that has been the case forever. I don't know if I've told this story in recent memory, but there was one year that we brought Werner Klock in to go to Gen Con with us, and as Reaper. And I was talking to him because Heavy Metal had just posted a job listing, like that they were looking for painters, for new painters. And I was thinking about it. I was like, you know, I would have, if I hadn't just started working with Reaper, I would think about this. And Werner looked at me because he actually worked for Games Workshop at some point in the distant past. And he flat out said, don't do it. He's like, they'll treat you like crap, you won't get paid anything, and you'll hate it. And I was like, well, okay. That was the longest sentence I heard Werner say. When he was, all while he was there. But yeah, so. And it's a shame, right? Yeah, because it does have, I mean, it does have a lot to do with sales. Painted product. Yeah, Wisdom of Werner. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Amazon, wait, where my book is. Oh yeah, Amazon for reviews. Yeah, if you bought it on Amazon, then Amazon. If you bought it on Barnes & Noble, then Barnes & Noble. I'm up for reviews anywhere you can leave them. Or if you're a Goodreads member, you could do that. But Amazon is mostly where I'm looking because that's mostly where I'm advertising and pushing right now. In the future, that may change. But for now, like, as time goes on, I get less and less. Like, I look at Kindle Unlimited and I'm like, I don't know if this is really, like, if I need to be in KU. Because I don't give very much from a KU read. Because there's so many people in the KU pot now. And it's a pot of money that gets shared to all the authors. And you need to be pushing pretty high sales to get, oh, I overdid my eyeball. So now we'll go and we'll trim up the bottom of that. When you overdo your eyeball, you just want to take the paint and just trim up, like, usually it's the bottom edge that you've gone over. And just trim it up. Hey, Miniatures Tavern. Thanks for the raid. Oh, yeah, you can post cross reviews, too. I really appreciate it, Dogfather. That should put me up to 17 on Amazon, if you do it. Unless there's one that's coming in the meantime. I should probably post on my Facebook, actually. And just say, hey, you know, if you've read the book and you haven't left a review, can you please give me some stars? Please. So that I can hit that 20. Because maybe I can hit that 20 then. Oh, yeah, they don't need advertising because that's what the stores are for. Yeah, they put their, like, it's just, there's, yeah. Don't talk to me about game company owners not understanding economics. The Reaper is not one of those companies, for the most part, although there are definitely things. Like I said, it's really hard to quantify things like painted models selling your product, right? Like, in order to see it, you would have to put out nothing but unpainted models and see if your product still sells at the same level. But there are so many variables making a model sell at any given time because, like, you know, maybe your model has been painted by a big name painter over on Putty and Paint or on, you know, on Instagram, and you have no idea. You just see a pulse in sales. You don't know why, right? You've got no way of knowing. So yeah, it's just it's hard to figure out why, you know, you're making money. Yeah, sometimes they'll do that, Pendrake. Sometimes they just hand you 10 Space Marines. Like, GW stores usually have, like, extra product around. Oh, 19 on Amazon. 19 right now? Dogfather, you could be 20! You could get me over the lump! I'm so excited. Yes! We can hit 20 after all! I was so thinking I wouldn't. I'm totally bouncing around like Kermit the Frog. Okay. Spaghetti arms and all. Hey, it makes a difference, folks. I'm about to do a big advertising push. Like, I threw $150 into advertising for book 1 on book 2's release. Like, all these promos are going to run. And so having 20 reviews is going to be, like, that's big. Because 10 reviews, like, well, 20 reviews, you're like, oh, okay. Like, you know, we all have, like, those review numbers in our head where we actually believe it, right? Yeah. Yeah, because the first hit's free. Yeah. I mean, that's what Paint and Take is for Reaper. Kiki, what are you up to? Better not be up to what I think you're up to. 1 second, folks. I know that the stream is ending, but I have to see if my dog is being really bad. No! Off! Yeah, you better be good. Somebody was up on the couch, folks. I'm going to have to put something up there now to keep her off of it. Somebody would like to take over the stream now. Oh, good. Good, Turgeon. Yay, thanks. Book 2 officially is out the 24th. It's officially out the 24th, but I'll email you guys, Richard. Because one thing that I wanted to do was actually, yeah, I'll email you guys about it, because I'm thinking about doing something special. Yeah, Kiki was on the couch. Yeah. Yes, she ran to you guys. Yes, somebody has been bad. I heard the clawing. I heard the digging, and I was like, that's upholstery. Oh, that was upholstery. Yes, young lady, that was upholstery. So anyway, that's what we're doing today, I guess. Hold on, I'm going to sploosh at you again. Just because you need your huge dog face. Hey, huge dog face, come here. There you go, huge dog face, yeah. Huge dog face. Yeah, free mini of the month, yeah. All right, you guys. Yeah, no, the stores, GW stores are cool. Like, I enjoy going to my local GW store and just looking at all the stuff. I will admit it. So this is Miss Bad Dog. Miss Bad Dog here would like for you all to know that it's time to end the stream because she wants her walk. So, naughty but pretty, yes. Naughty but cute. Yeah, so there you go, Hyper Bunny, so you know. Yeah, I mean, it's worth it, right? It gets people into the hobby. And we always have Reaper Paint, or we try usually to have Reaper Paint at Paint and Takes too, because it works. People try Reaper Paint, and then they go out and buy a few. So yeah, there we go, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, well, exciting day. Okay, tomorrow is Friday. Friday! And we're going to be doing, here, I already changed cameras. We're going to be Ray on Jolie. Come on, go into focus. Go into focus. Go into focus. It's not going to focus. It's like, no, nope, nope. Nope. Yes, we're going to do Jolie. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. I think today is going to be fantastic. All right. Off week for Reaper Live. And yeah, we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night.